Efforts are underway to extinguish a blaze at the Rhodes Memorial in Cape Town. The fire is said to be spreading towards UCT.
And that areas such as a warm estate have now also been put on alert.
Fire and rescue service teams have been dispatched here since 8:45 this morning.
The wind fanning the smoke, moving southwards to what behind all that smoke now is the UCT campus. One of the at least 4 helicopters, we understand, water bombing the area.
Students have already been emptied out of the University of Cape Town.
You can see buses of the UCT University transporting students.
The Rhodes Memorial Restaurant and iconic Mostert Mill have been destroyed.
Several campus buildings were set ablaze.
The damage to the library now quite extensive. The rare collections that are housed, rare reads that are not even allowed to leave, destroyed most of what's contained in that building.
This morning we heard that around 60 firefighters were deployed. That number grew by 150.
2 firefighters had sustained burn wounds and had been hospitalised for treatment.
Hi, my name is Siabulela Keith Ntuntwana. I am a master's student doing urban design at the University of Cape Town. I stayed in Smuts Hall, which is now known as Upper Campus Residence, from 2018 until 2021. And I've also played a huge leadership role as a housecore member and a sub-warden. The day of the fire, I actually came to res at like 9 a.m. But as soon as I walked inside Fuller Hall to alert the students that the ongoing fire, when I exited, the whole campus was engulfed with grey smoke. So that's when the panic started going for the people. And the alarm went on during lunch. And when the alarm goes on during lunch, we know it's not something serious, it's probably like a fault. But the harsh reality of realizing, hey, this is not a fault alarm, it's an actual threat. Before that, we only had Zoom training with dealing with fires. To be honest, it wasn't part of our duties to tend to a fire. I think we're not well equipped for that. Our duty was to make sure that everyone had evacuated. During that time, that's when we just decided to fight the small flames that were occurring across the building. We used the fire extinguishers at first. Our task was more of the small work of ivy, the trees, the vegetation, and any room that started flaring up. Curtains were open, and that was also one of the things that started flaring up in rooms. Going to Fuller and checking on Fuller, no one was taking care of the flare-ups that were occurring in their building. It was just a lot of adrenaline that was going through, but I do know that there was a lot of sense of panic, because now it's not like a fire that you can control. This was an actual fire that's bigger than you, bigger than this campus. We laugh about it now, but the whole idea of directing firefighters into a burning building is nerve-wracking, because they have protection and you just have your lunchtime clothes, which is your shorts and a t-shirt. So yes, we had to do checkups at Groote Hospital. This was just to check any smoke and inhalation. Fortunately, we didn't have that much of issues to deal with. Also, I was just nervous because I was doing post-grad. It was hard to get going, because you just experienced this traumatic event, and at first I didn't realize it was traumatic until I started having nightmares and struggling to cope with doing work, and that just made me more anxious because I was playing catch up. Once I started realizing I actually might have trauma from the fire, was just having nightmares about the fire, and there would be times where I actually think there's a fire and I'll wake up in the middle of the night sweating. But we got group counseling for those that were impacted by the fires, the sub-warden's leadership, but also as a collective of students who had to experience the trauma of being rushed out and having to evacuate the room.
My name is Joanna van Holt. I'm with the Environmental and Geographical Sciences Department. I'm a lecturer. And so I got to UCT, and there was a lot more smoke than what I thought there would be. A lot of the buildings on this side, laboratories, chemical engineering, there's lots of gas and stuff as well. So if those go, then it is absolutely catastrophic. I would say there wasn't adequate firefighting equipment. It started feeling overwhelming because it didn't matter what we did, everything just started burning. I was incredibly relieved that there wasn't more damage. Part of me was kind of very grateful that, because at one point, you know, it went through my mind, what if this university burns down? We've become incredibly resilient and, you know, to make a plan, to keep the academic program going through whatever sort of issues we've had, disruptions we've had, you know, going through all of that, trying to keep going and keep everyone sort of, you know, at pace and together.
All right, my name is Professor Mamokgethi Phakeng. I was the Vice Chancellor of the University of Cape Town. You know, the 18th of April, 2021 was interesting because we didn't live far from campus. We lived in the Vice Chancellor's house. And on that day, it was a Sunday morning, we were sitting out on the balcony, like looking at the mountain. We were attracted by the smoke. And of course, it didn't come from campus. It came from beyond campus. But this smoke was not going away. It kept growing and growing. And I just sat there and wept. I mean, it was just, I was just thinking, how on earth? This has never happened before. I mean, when I went out weeping, it was like we were watching as that fireball hit the Jaeger. So suddenly the Jaeger went up in smoke. I mean, it was just unbelievable. I mean, even just talking about it, I guess goosebumps. Because once we had the fire, and the firefighters dealt with it, then we had water. So the books, the material that was salvaged was wet. So how do you deal with that? You know, who do you call? The material that we lost, that's not replaceable. If there's no one who has perhaps written about it and there are no copies of it anywhere, then this is it. It's like it's lost. And will it be recreated?